Hi. So I was talking to a friend who works in marketing, and she told me that a big chunk of her day is spent sifting through inbound leads that come in, where she's trying to identify leads that are relevant versus leads that are not relevant. And that got me thinking. There are people who actually spend a lot of time doing tasks like this. I went on Google, I did some online research, and I found out that it takes about 8 hours of manual labor for most companies to sift through inbound leads and to classify them as either relevant or irrelevant. Now, 8 hours is a long time, and that definitely impacts how quickly you can get in touch with those leads and how quickly you can get them on the call or close them or whatever you're doing with them. And I think that's where the real potential of AI lies. Something that sounds so simple, but takes real human time and real human effort that we can completely automate. So I went ahead and I built a little workflow. Let me take you to the screen and show you how I built it step by step. Super simple, super easy. Anyone can do it, and it can give you hours back. So I went ahead and made a form, just like any other form you would fill to get a lead from the internet. The form is for Made Up Company Inc. And Made Up Company in this example is a company that helps with AI powered recruitment. So basically, it helps companies fill open roles. The form is pretty simple: the first name, a last name, an email, a company name, the title of the person, how many roles they have open right now, and how many roles are they looking to close within the next 30 days. So we just hit submit, and now we should see the responses for this form show up in our database, which is going to be our Google Sheets. So as you can see, the form results have populated here, and we can scroll all the way, and we can see the responses that we got. All right, now that the ground has been laid, let's go and build our AI agent. First things first, we're going to connect to our Google Sheets with a trigger node, which will get triggered every time a new row is entered into that Google Sheet. And remember, we're just using Google Sheets here because it syncs up with Google Forms. If you were using some other kind of form and your data was going in some other kind of database, you could always connect that with n8n as well. This is a very versatile tool. So we're going to search Google Sheets. I'm going to get a trigger node, and we're going to go on every row added. So every time a new row is added, our workflow will get triggered. I already have my Google account linked here, but if you don't, you can always go to create new credentials, sign in with Google, and sign in with Google that way. Or if you want, you could connect through the OAuth method, which is recommended, but it is a little bit more tedious. It's not complicated at all, and the documentation here is actually very, very useful. I would recommend you do it this way, but if you think that's going to be a bridge too far just yet for you, you can always just sign in with Google. Now here it asks how often you want this workflow to run. So we're just going to set it to every minute. Basically what this means is every minute it's going to check if a new row has been added since the last minute, and then it'll run the workflow on that new row. Now if your account is connected, you can just do a drop down here and you can find your sheet. Responses is the name of the sheet that I have. And then again, there's only one sheet there. So we're going to collect this. And now our trigger node is connected. Next, we're going to connect our Google Sheets node with an AI agent node. So just click here, you go to AI, select AI agent. It's going to open up your AI agent. The first step that I always do is connect your chat model. So I'm just going to use OpenAI here, but you can use whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever model you use. I know that n8n works with just about every single model out there, so there really is no major limitation on which model you get to choose. I'm going to choose OpenAI. I think 4.1 mini is good enough for this task. Now, again, I am already connected, but if you're not, you can just create new credentials and you can put in your API key here. Very, very simple process. Again, the docs are super helpful, but if you don't have one already, just go to the OpenAI website, create your API key, plug it in here, and you're good to go. All right, now that we have our chat model here, now we can go in and give our agent a system prompt that tells it to do a certain task. Now we want to give our agent a system prompt. By default, it's connected to the chat trigger node, but we can always define below, and that's what we're going to do. So here we're going to give it a system prompt that it will run, and that way it'll be scalable. No matter how many leads we get, it will run the same prompt for every single lead and get us results that we can actually use. So let's get to writing the system prompt. All right, so this is the prompt that we're going to use for our system prompt. You are an expert at sorting inbound leads based on relevance. You work for a company that helps organizations fill roles faster using AI. Review the following data and identify leads that are likely to see immediate value and should be contacted urgently. Then we're going to give it the email, the company name, the title, the question where we ask them how many open roles they have right now, and the question where we ask them how many roles they need to close in the next 30 days. Make sure that the lead is from a company and is not a prospect looking for a job. Use the email and title check for that. Now, this is very important. In fact, this is where the majority of the time wasted comes from. The other questions are pretty obvious, but this question is where a lot of people end up spending a lot of their time just trying to filter through who is a B2B lead versus who is someone who might be a user but isn't necessarily a lead. When the lead is good and is ready to be closed right away, output urgent. If the lead is relevant, but there is no immediate urgency, mark it nurture. And if it is a completely irrelevant lead, output no match. So let's see what we're going to get from this. So what we did was we went and we filled out the form a couple of other times just to get a few more mock entries in. And then we also created another column called AI screening. This is where the output of our agent is going to show up. All right, let's run the agent and let's see what the output is. Now you can see that it matched, and then the other three all urgent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click this. We're going to go back to Sheets. We're going to choose Update Row in Sheet. And just like before, we're going to choose our sheet and then choose Tab. So as you can see, we've mapped all the columns here. An important thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that there's a column to match on. So you just choose one column that needs to match exactly. Typically use whatever the most unique of all of those entries is going to be to serve as an identity. So in our case, I'm going to choose the email. And then once I have that here, I'm just going to drag the output from the AI agent and put it in our AI screening. And this should work. All right, here we go. So now we have the results. All right, now let's take a look. So we got our AI screen here, and we saw that all but the first one got an urgent. The first one got a no match, which means that this is not a good match for our system. And the reason for that is the email along with the company name. Now, the OpenAI chat model was able to figure out that Family Guy is not a real company, and Peter Griffin probably is not a real person. And that's why this is either a mistake or someone is, maybe pulling a prank or something. Either way, it does not belong in your leads. Well, there you have it. That's it. This was a very simple workflow, but it does a real task. This is something that people actually spend hours on. And the great thing is that you can take this and you can build on top of this, and you can build workflows that nurture leads or workflows that send leads to chatbots or voice AI agents. If you can think it, now you can build it. And that's really the true potential of AI. And I want more and more people to experience that. That's why I'm building this channel. If you're liking what I'm doing, give me a like and a subscribe and come back for more. I'll see you around. Bye.